Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. I'm on an hour early today. Usually I'm on at 2. My name's Janna, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And the reason I had to come on early today is because I have an appointment this afternoon. So if you missed me because you think that I'm usually on at 2, which I am, I'm sorry that you missed me, but at least you are, if you're watching this, catching the replay. So thankful for the replays. Okay, let's get started. So if you saw the title there, you know that I am making one of my favorite cards today, which is a joyfold card, joyfold, using the Jar of Joy stamp set and the Sweet Jar Builder Punch. Now, this stamp set came out in addition to the Sweet Jar stamp set. So as you can see, both of them have a jar. They're very slightly different from each other. The lid is different, however, so if you don't want to color in a lid, use the lid from this one. This one you can fill with jelly beans, shamrocks, or hearts, so it's really fun for different holidays here. This one is obviously for the Christmas holiday, but having them both together is nice because you can mix and match with the words and different things in the set. This set you can combine with the punch into a bundle and save 10%. You can also just buy this jar punch all by itself and use it. And then I'm also going to use the Spotlight on Nature dies, which is a set of circles. There's another sheet of them behind this sheet. So in all you get 12 circle dies. Let's get stamping. Okay. So let's see, maybe I don't want that just yet. Or maybe I do. Yeah, let's go ahead. So I want that, and then I should have in my little parts and pieces sack here a skinny strip of white, unless it didn't find its way in here, which it doesn't look like it did. What happened to my skinny strip? That's funny. Okay, well, I'll have to get my, let me just grab my bag of scraps. I probably cut it and then stuck it back in my scrap bag. And I bet you anything that is it right there. So there we go. Okay, so now let's get stamping. And I'm all by my lonesome on here, which doesn't surprise me because I came on when I don't normally come on, so that's okay. Y'all can just watch the replay. So I'm going to use my Misty here and stamp the jar. And I'm going to stamp it with Smoky Slate. Oopsie, don't want to go get ink on myself. Of course, that wouldn't be anything new. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time, and that is why I'm using my MISTI, because you just never know if you're going to want to stamp it more than once, and using a stamp positioner, at least you can get it right back where it's supposed to go. So there's that. And I better put this ink away so I don't go sticking my fingers in it. Hello everyone, welcome in. Chat's up if you'd like to be on there and say hello. All right, so now this is a two-step stamp set. I'm going to stamp this part here next. And I just need to get it in here where I want it. That looks pretty good right there. And I better take this jar off. And I am going to stamp that with Early Espresso, which is a nice chocolatey brown color. And my stamp is so sticky that it pulls the paper up. Maybe I will move my magnets over a little bit. I've got a piece of tape under there too, but once we get ink on here, it won't stick so bad. And I'm going to do that one more time. It's a good thing I'm punching it out because I stuck my finger in it. Much better. Then I'm going to use this sort of, I'm going to say it's kind of an outline shadow stamp. Let me put this ink away. And I'm going to do real red for that, but first I need to get this where I want it. And I think the easiest way to line this up is to line up his little bow tie where it goes and the little buttons. And then pretty much everything else falls into place where it needs to go. All right. Very cute. And that is good enough with one time there. And then while I'm stamping, I want to do the lid. And I'm going to just put it over here because I'm going to be using the punch. So, and I'm going to ink it up in red because I want my lid to be red. So there we have that. Oops, see, putting it on there upside down. Okay, so now I can take that off. And where'd my little strip go? Here it is. Let me line this up on here. And I'm going to do the May Your Heart Be Filled with Joy. It just makes me think of that song that we used to always mostly sing, I think, in, well, probably in church, but also Sunday school. I'm not going to sing it. I feel like singing it, but I'm not going to sing it. Okay. Oh, you can probably hear Toddy barking. All right, so let's hope that that's on there fairly even. All right, let's not stick and cause a scene here. Now it's all messed up. Okay. Please stay down. Yeah, now it's totally off of where it needs to be. I thought that was the line I had it lined up on. What's happening? That's why I have tape on there. It's supposed to stick. All right, well, let's just put that back on. Put that there. Reposition this. And try again. It looks like it's going uphill to me a little bit. Don't want that. Come on now. What is happening? What is happening is that my tape isn't holding at all. I'm sorry, guys. I think that doesn't give me enough room there between the magnets if I do that, but we can try it. We can try it. Let me slide that down a little bit more. I probably should have made my strip a little bit longer. I've got it skinny because I want it skinny. I don't want it any wider than that. Okay. Maybe it'll work this time. May your heart be filled with joy. And after I did all that, I really kind of wanted it to be done with the early espresso. So I think what I'm going to do is just wipe the ink off and go over the top of it with early espresso, because I think it'll be fine if I do that. I really do. That's why I need to put my ink pad up each time, because it's just too easy to grab it when it's there. And I might have to do that twice. Oh no, that looks pretty good. Yay! Okay, so wipe that back off. Let's put this stamp away. And we'll put this ink away. And I can set that with the others that are finished over there. And where's my little white square? Here it is. And this is a 3-inch square. It sticks when you don't want it to, and it doesn't stick when you want it to. Okay, there we go. I left the red out because I want to use the red. And I'm going to get the little Wishing You the Sweetest Christmas. Hi, Angela. If you missed the beginning, I explained that I came on early today because I have an appointment this afternoon. So that is what's happening. All right, I think that looks even. And I am going to ink this one up in red. Cute. And I think we are done with the stamping. I think if you do a Christmas card here and there before the season actually gets here, then it won't be quite so stressful trying to get them all done the closer it gets to Christmas. Okay, now then, I need to do a little bit of more coloring on here. And the first thing I'm going to do is take Light Pool Party and just go around the edges of the jar here. You know how when you look at clear glass, you kind of see that little bit of a blue hue around the edges a lot of times. I just like the way that it looks, gives that little shadow, doesn't make it look quite so flat. So there is that. And then the lid, I've got my light and dark real red. I stamped it with the real red. Then I'm just going to fill in with the light real red. You could certainly cut with the punch a silver foil lid. That would be really cute. And then I'm just going to come in with my dark real red and do a little bit of this along where that indentation in the metal would be. And just a little shadow there on the edges. Okay. So there's that. And then I've got, this is color number SU500. And I'm just going to take it, and these, I believe, are cookies. So I kind of want to make them look like cookies that have some white frosting and red, you know, white and red frosting decoration on them, but we also want them to look like a cookie because I don't think I've ever really seen a bright white cookie before. So we need to make it look like a cookie. I love sugar cookies and gingerbread man cookies, and they're fun to decorate, but the rolling and cutting out of the dough to me is not the fun part. Once that's done, then the decorating's fun, but yeah, cutting them out and rolling the dough, that I don't think that's so much fun. All right, so there we have that. That looks more like a jar full of cookies to me now. And now let me put this up so I don't get anything wet that I don't want to be wet there. We can get on with it. So I'm going to use the punch and punch out the little jar here. So there we have that. And now we can get on with the card. So the card base, I am using pecan pie for the color. And Joyfold cards are super simple if you've never made one before. So it's just our 8.5 by 5.5 sheet of cardstock. We're going to, wait a minute, did I tell you that right? 5.5 by, yes, 8.5. I told you that right. We're going to score it at 4.25, just like normal. Let me get the cutting blade out of the way. And then we are going to, I've folded it, then we're going to put it back in the, so this is the side we scored on. We're going to flip it over and we're going to put it at 2 1/8. So we're going to score the front in half again at 2 1/8. Okay, so then it's going to fold back on itself like that. Pretty darn simple. And then I've got a piece that is 3 inches by 6 inches. I've already scored this one in half at 3 inches. So now we've got this little card, and this is Early Espresso cardstock. So I'm just going to take my bone folder and give these a little press here on all of the score lines. There we go. All right, now my patterned paper is a last year's, or a retired paper, I should say. It is the Take a Bow, or Take a Bow, however you want to say it, but it was bow because this went along with a bow making stamp or die set. I can't remember now, but it's just all, you know, red, white, and green papers. You may have it or something like it. But that is the paper I'm using. So I love this sort of candy stripe. And I'm going to put this piece on the inside. So it is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And we're just going to get that put in there. I love this side too, but I'm using that candy cane stripe today. So let me get this in here as even as I can. And then you can certainly put paper in this area if you want, or you could stamp in there, whatever you want to do. I'm just leaving it plain. And then you want patterned paper for this section here. And this is cut at, oops, might help if I turn it the right way. So 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. Hey Nancy, I am early. Yeah, I have an appointment this afternoon, so I had to adjust my schedule today. Okay, now then, depending on your pattern, you want to match it up. So that looks, either way it's off just a little bit, it looks like for me. I thought when I cut it so that they would match, but it's just not that big a deal. What you do want to match is your borders. So, you know, as best as you can, line them up so that the borders of your cardstock are even in both sections here. There we go. Oh, it matched up pretty good actually when they're both on there. Looks pretty good. Okay, so there is that. Now then, I have a little piece here of pecan pie, however you say it. And I'm going to die cut a circle. And I'm going to use this one, I believe. Yeah. But I wanted to show you that you do get 2 full pages of circles in this die set. I love this die set. And now there's one, it has a stamp set that you can bundle it with that are all rectangles. And I didn't really want the stamp set, but I did order that die set, so I have that coming with all the fun rectangles. The only thing about these is you've got lots of little pieces to poke out, which doesn't bug me because I actually don't mind poking them out. The only time that bugs me is if I'm making a whole bunch of something, and then that gets a bit time consuming. So most of them come out of the paper, it's getting them out of your die set, and I'm not going to take the time to do that right now, but I have my little brush tool that I roll along and it pops most of them out. And then if I can't get them all out with the brush, then I use the pokey end and do it that way. Okay, so now we've got our little brown card here. This is going to fit like this in here. And so I've got another piece of patterned paper from that set. And which side do I want to use? Let me decide. Ooh, I kind of like that. Let me turn the other over. I don't remember what my original intention was. It probably was the red. Ooh, yeah, I'm going to go with the red. Okay. I like them both. You want to make sure that your fold is on the right. Typically, our fold is on the left, but with this one, this piece, you want it to be on the right. Okay, so we're going to get that right on there. One thing that I like about Joyfold card is there's so many different options. Your little center card can, this one's square, but you can do a rectangle, you can do a circle, you know, you can change it up lots of different ways, and you can make it whatever size you want to make it. There's no rules really. It's all in what you want. Okay, so I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and do this. So the easiest way I have found to do this is just to center it on this piece, and then once you close your card, it's pretty much going to be centered. So hi, Sue. All right, so again, making sure that my fold is on the right. Then I'm going to just put this where I want it here. And you want to center it side to side for sure. I mean, I want it centered all the way around, but it could be, you might want this card to be more to the bottom or the top. It just depends on all and what you're doing, but you do want it centered side to side. And then when you open it and close it, then it's centered on the front. I hope that makes sense. Add a little glue over there. Okay, and then we can go ahead and get this put in there. But really, if you wanted more writing space or two greetings in here or another design, you can totally use this side too to put something. I'm just going to do my little greeting on that side. But like I said, there's lots of options with this card of filling it up or, you know, whatever you want to do to decorate it. There we go. All right. Now this is going to go there, and I'm going to use my glue press. Really loving this. You can just make the tiniest little dots and fine lines with this thing, depending on how much pressure you squeeze the trigger with. And if you have a thicker glue, you can use the empty glue bottle that comes along with it and fill it with whatever glue you want. It's got a bigger nozzle on it. There is a pin in this lid that goes back up in the bottle there. And look at the pretty jewel it has. Okay, and then this is going to go on here. And then, oh, I shouldn't have put my glue away because I need to glue my lid. And I'm just going to run a tiny little strip of glue right on the edge. There. And I want my lid to just fit on that little edge. There we go. So cute. I can just hear the lid coming on and off of the glass cookie jar. You know when you're trying to sneak a cookie and you're trying to be quiet? It's almost impossible with a glass cookie jar that has a metal lid. Almost impossible. Okay, so now I'm going to pop that up. I love this little gingerbread thing for this, and I know that I mentioned that I ordered the gingerbread man set. Maybe I didn't say. I might have just said gingerbread. Well, it's a gingerbread man, and it is cute. Okay, and then there's another fun set too. I've got both of them coming. All right, this is going to go down there, and I'm going to trim it off. When I made my sample card, I flagged the ends, and I'll explain once I get this on. I need to cut this really close to the words because it can't hang over here, because then when you open it, if there's something hanging over, it bends. So I had to adjust that and fix it so that it doesn't hang over. I'm going to pop this up, and I'm going to use my little dimensionals, which just fit on that tiny little skinny strip. There we go. May your heart be filled with joy. Okay, so I need this to come on. That's probably good there. And let's try to get it straight, shall we? All right, that looks good. And then we have to embellish. So I'm using some white baker's twine. And I'm doubling it over, and I'm going to make a very tiny little bow. I probably have much more than I need here. Oh well, I know I have much more than I need, but it will just make it easier for what I'm doing. Okay, I'm happy with that. I didn't waste too much. Cute. Let me get a glue dot. And I kind of need to fold it over. So I'm just going to roll it up onto itself here. And stick my little bow on there. And pick that up. And it's going to go right there. Too cute. Okay, now we need some peppermints. I love these. They are in stock. Anyway, they were yesterday. All right, I'm gonna have one there. And we'll put one right here. There's 3 different sizes here. And just put one right there. So cute. I like to cut down the side of the packaging. It's easier to slide them back in and out. I'm going to take a little bit of Winkostella, and it does take a little bit of time to dry, but I'm going to just put it on the peppermints to give them a little bit of sparkle. Which I know you probably aren't going to see. But it's there. Okay. So that is a Joy Fold card. Very fun, easy, cute, different. And here's the sample one I did. The same, just with different paper. Cute. All right, let me pick a little bit of this stuff up and we'll have our story time. And I'll get these moved out of the way for my big old fairy book. Fairyopolis. Okay, where is my, there it is. Okay, so we read that. So this is a journal. If you haven't been with me for this yet. This is just this fun interactive little big book that I bought years ago, and I thought that for story time it would be kind of fun to go through this. And I do have trouble with some of the words. I'll just put that out there. This one is from the entry on the 25th of June here, and then we get on with it. A perplexing little find. I stumbled across this tiny scrap caught up on a sharp thorn. At first I thought it part of a butterfly's wing, but on closer inspection, I don't believe it is. There is a butterfly collection at the Horniman Museum. It's so close to home that I could visit the collection and drop in to see Mother and Dot too. This says a very fragile treasure, and it's dated the 25th of June, 1920. Let's see what's in here. Could disintegrate if handled roughly. Extremely delicate, almost transparent in parts. So it's kindergarten. Dot asked me if I wouldn't mind having one of her charges, Dulcie Evans, to stay with me for a week or so. Her mother is ill and her father has long since passed away. Of course, I'm glad to help out. The top butterfly flight speed is 12 miles per hour. I wonder if fairies can fly this fast. And over here, it says butterflies are impressive flyers, flapping their wings slowly but strongly. Would a fairy fly in exactly the same way as a butterfly, I wonder? On July 1st, the museum had many butterfly specimens and I studied the wings at length. I am now convinced that my piece of wing does not come from a butterfly. It has an iridescent quality to it. Could it be a fragment from a flower fairy's wing? When it rains, butterflies find shelter in crevices and tree cavities. I wonder if this is where the flower fairies find shelter too. I shall seek the fairies in the places butterflies favor. Isn't she cute? Butterflies and moths have tiny scales covering their wings. I did not know that, really. I spied this specimen by the lavender. Okay, let's do one more, just so we can kind of get through this book. July 23rd, the last 2 weeks have been such a whirlwind of activity that my poor journal has been completely neglected. Dulcie and I have had the time of our lives, spending our days swimming, cycling, and hiking. Seeing Dulcie playing near the stream has inspired me to sketch and write about another flower fairy, the beautiful willow fairy. That is pretty. Over the water I lean all day where the sticklebacks and the minnows play. I dance when the breezes blow and dip my toes in the stream below. August 2nd, it was Dulcie's final evening last night. I was putting her to bed when she piped up with, "Do you believe in fairies?" I responded with a tentative, "Well, some people do," she replied. "I believe in fairies. I can feel them all around me. This is a magical place." I would have liked to talk with her longer, only she fell asleep immediately. I sat for several hours mulling over her words. I am quite shaken. Collected my photographs from the studios today. Some lovely snaps of Dulcie, but one in particular has thrown me into disarray. What is that in the corner of the picture? Right up there, maybe? Storrington Photographic Studios. Miss Parker, there is a most unusual blemish on the photograph. I think it must be a trick of the light. Okay, well, we will stop with that and see where it leads us next time. And here's the little cards again for another peek. So if you've never made a joyful fold card, I would highly recommend it because they're just so easy and fun. And you know, they're fun to receive because it's just a little something different. Thanks so much for being with me today, and I hope you have a great weekend ahead. And I will see you in my next video. Take care. Happy stamping and crafting. Bye-bye.